unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encountercast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncountercast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encountercast. Thanks for joining us. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Starting at 1 p.m. on Sunday, you can join us live. You can call the show live. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. If you hear a news story that you want to sound off on, if you want to chime in on our topic today, we're going to be talking about 90s cartoons.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I know.
This is like one of those weeks where like we decided the topic on like Wednesday or Thursday, and all week I'm just like, all right, I can talk about cartoons.
This is the episode where we date ourselves and figure out how old we actually really are.
Well, we're all roughly the same age. We're all within a few years of each other.
I'm 32.
That said, if you're 20, you may not get a lot of the references on today's episode.
I don't know. They've been remaking a lot of these or rebooting a lot of these, and I think quite a few can actually be found like on Netflix and stuff, can't they?
Some of them, some of them can be found at various different like streaming outlets, but nostalgia, like specifically cartoon nostalgia, seems to be a big deal. With the kids these days.
Millennials.
With the kids these days. So we're going to talk about 90s cartoons since Nickelodeon seems to be reviving so damn many of them. But as always, we're also going to be talking about the news here. So if you want to chime in on any of that, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. If you haven't yet, if maybe this is the first time you've stumbled across this show, FinalEncountercast.com is the website. It mostly just serves as a place to find old episodes of this show. So if you enjoy the show, make sure you head on over to FinalEncountercast.com to check out some old episodes. And also, if you like the show, there's another show that we happen to do called Checkpoint Radio, and that show has a lot of roots in this show. And if you like what we do here, you just can't get enough of people talking about video games. Maybe you like my super sexy voice, then you can head on over to checkpointradio.com to check that out. We've got a podcast feed, a network feed that you can subscribe to and look for on iTunes. That's the LBR Podcast Network, which I think hopefully soon is going to go through some rebranding. We've been talking about that for a while, but I need to get that. I need to get a logo file from you, actually, Robbie. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us here today. Patreon.com/Limit Break Radio is how this show is supported, and we would hope that you head on over there and give whatever you can to help support Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast by extension, because this show is done, when we had set out the show to do the show weekly, we had put a goal of $2,000 coming in a month. We're sitting just below $1,600, and so we need to be able to make up that gap. So if you listen to the show, maybe you're a newer listener, maybe you've been listening for a really long time, and you've never given, maybe you can only give $1 a month, maybe you can only give $5 a month. We encourage you to do that over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. We do send out early downloadable episodes of Checkpoint Radio still, correct, Chris? Yes?
What?
Fat, pay attention.
I was texting.
I see that.
We noticed. That's why we talked to you.
In the middle of my question.
Was it about Bert? Oh, no. Oh. Well, then you have no excuse. Pay attention.
Did you forget the name of your unborn child?
Yes, that is terrible.
When it's not even the correct name, yes.
No,
her name is Roberta.
No, that's canon.
Little Bert. Everybody else knew what I was... Even Nate knew what I was talking about.
I instantly. There's no way of getting out from under that nickname. Anyway, so we are still sending early downloadable episodes of Checkpoint over Patreon, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I do know that our green room videos have fallen off, mostly because I keep forgetting There's like one or two that I have recorded on the
because we're doing them on the GoPro
on the
now.
GoPro, and I
Yeah.
keep forgetting that that's a thing, and that I have to dump them off that memory card.
So they're coming.
Good job.
That's your responsibility.
I know that's my fault. So anyway, but yeah, give whatever you can, whatever's appropriate for your budget. $1 a month, $5 a month, maybe
No.
$100 a month.
Fiscally bankrupt yourself to support us.
Whatever you can manage, whatever is financially feasible for you. Patreon.com/limitbreakradio. And I mean, I'll be honest. We did get our first profit sharing returns from Checkpoint this month.
We sure did.
And to the tune of $300.
That's not enough to
Goodness, like, as much as
reimburse
they make from Twitch.
what we paid the other stations to air.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
We may have to reevaluate here.
It's so expensive to pay radio stations to put your radio show on the air. Anyway, no, but the returns, the dividends, actually, I think are something that would surprise most people because, yeah, with Checkpoint Radio, we're syndicated in 28 different cities right now. We've been approaching a lot of different advertisers and partners to work with, and it's tough. It's until you really kind of crack more of those top 10 market stations, it's really hard to get traction. And though we've gotten some really great markets like Philly, Pittsburgh, Houston, San Diego, some really, really huge. Houston, did I say Houston? I don't know if I said
don't think you did, but you did now.
But, some really amazing markets in there. And, granted, this is looking back at May. So this is
Where we only had 4.
Yeah, we only had a handful of stations at that
And
point.
no big ones.
0 big ones. So there is growth to be done there. But even it being a syndicated radio show, the path to how you end up making money, or at least being breaking even and being able to pay your participants, is a difficult one. And we've been trying to figure out that equation. We were pretty hopeful that Checkpoint might be able to make up what we've been able to kind of lose in Patreon, and it looks like that's going to be a longer process than any of us thought. So again, you can help support this content as well as Limit Break Radio and Checkpoint Radio if you head on over to patreon.com/limitbreakradio. Again, we are working on some new stuff. We are working on a new Checkpoint website. We're working on an LBR Network website. And then the LBR Network will actually get a real title at some point. We're going to actually call it something. So you can look forward to all of that stuff. That's coming up in the future here for Limit Break Radio and our associated properties.
Near Roadkill wants to know if we can auction off Chris's hamburger muffs.
I miss those.
What happened to the burger phones?
Yeah, what happened to them?
They don't work, right?
He doesn't even know.
I don't know. Do they not work? Did they stop working?
No, you know what I
Didn't
think?
they?
I think what happened was when we started doing Checkpoint, Joe probably didn't like the hamburger muffs, so we started using the other ones.
Yeah, I use the Sennheisers.
And then Chris probably just came in one day and thought, they changed them. I guess the other ones don't work.
Yeah,
They probably still work.
they're just incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
just
they're really
they're
uncomfortable.
not fun to wear.
Yeah, the Sennheiser's way better.
So I mean,
There's no spiders in these ones. So
That said, I think we could auction them off.
yeah, sure. I mean, there's plenty of old LBR shit that's just sort of like
well, I bought those burger muffs.
collecting.
So all the money goes to me. Dibs.
No. You've used it. You used it on the show. It's now paraphernalia for the show.
Yeah, and all the money goes to me.
No. See,
No.
look.
I called dibs.
Look, it's like if you work at like Google or something. If you use their computers to like make something, it then becomes their property because you use their.
That's not how stuff works like that.
It's how it works here.
Trademark.
That's how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Now
You plug
Yeah.
your headphones into that board.
That's right. It was featured on this show. So
People saw them. It's canon.
we get to claim ownership of it.
And your roadkill, $5 sold.
Yeah, there you go.
They're
Done.
like $18.
It's going to cost us more than that to ship them. We got to make our money back. You guys are horrible at
are
this.
not allowed to handle anything monetary related.
That's a wise decision.
This is why we're only getting $300 for selling your show.
Oh, low blow. Low blow. Anyway,
No, we're not interested in money.
So anyway, yeah, we'll keep you updated on what that situation looks like. But if you want to help us out, patreon.com/limitbreakradio. And again, if you've ever wondered what your money goes to supporting and what your money goes to pay for, most of the equipment that we use to be able to produce this show, it goes to paying the other hosts and the participants that drive all the way down here to my apartment to be able to do the show. And I think that I've always stated that's my number one goal and priority, is to make sure that my friends have an ability to get paid, and that this becomes an opportunity. Shut up, Nika. Shut up, Nika.
It also goes to sandwiches too.
It sometimes does go to sandwiches, yes.
Not for Nika, though, because she just makes sandwiches out of her hands because she's a woman.
What?
Nika, just do this for me. Just do that. No? Okay. No?
Can't see.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, okay. A sandwich would appear if she did that into the camera.
It doesn't work if you're looking at it.
It's magic. It's woman magic.
I see.
Yeah. Anyway, so we appreciate
It's like, I hate you and I hate this show.
we appreciate having you along, and appreciate all of your existing support. So again, patreon.com/limitbreakradio. We are planning on doing some Final Encounter Cast shirts at some point.
Yeah.
So that's coming up pretty soon.
Cool.
Pretty soon.
Pretty
What?
soon. Yeah. I mean,
Are you in
it's
talks
pretty
with an
soon,
artist
though.
already?
Yeah. Do we have a design planned out?
I'm sure we can get Apple Nectar to do it for
basic
us.
logo, very easy.
Okay.
Oh.
Then yes,
Just
it's coming very soon.
The fist with the Final Encounter Cast text. That'd be very easy to do.
That's really boring.
Maybe.
Way to sell it, Chris.
Yeah.
Buy our shit.
Thanks.
Swirls around it, make it look cooler.
No, I mean,
We'll draw swirls on it.
Like swishy magic.
Let's get Papa to put some bedazzle on there or something.
Oh my God. A bedazzled FEC shirt? Absolutely.
I would wear it.
Yeah, I'll wear one.
What they don't know is it's going to be bedazzled in the shape of a dick.
can it say slut on the back?
No, it's got to say juicy.
like right, like right where a tramp stamp would be.
Yeah, it's going to say juicy.
I like slut better.
How
That's a
about
little on the nose, don't you think?
juicy slut? Okay, let's compromise,
Okay,
guys.
we'll compromise.
All right.
That's the closest you get to a compromise on this show.
How about slut and juice?
No, ew. Ew.
Yeah, that sounds really gross.
What?
It's no longer funny anymore.
Slut juice?
How exactly, Chris? Hang on. I need to hang on this. How exactly is slut juice made?
How do you think?
How do I think? Well, I see one of two possibilities. I see you either take a whole slut and put her in a juicer.
Hey, guys can be sluts too.
I never said.
You just said a whole slut.
Yeah, just a whole slut. Well, I said her. I put her. Yeah.
You did.
Put it in a juicer.
Yeah.
And get slut juice, or you
show it porn.
Or
and you have a little collection, a collecting tray, like when you're changing your oil.
Like you wring out panties or something to be able to collect slut juice. Which one is it?
It's actually neither of those.
Oh, okay.
If you go back to when we had the transgender Thunderdome argument incident.
Why do we have to go back to that?
Actually, if one of the losers actually survives, they are shamed into going to the slut camps of Arendor, and they are forced to work in the mines producing the juice from their orifices, and we have people who milk them daily to collect the slut juice.
Heavily Catholic J.R.R. Tolkien just rolled in his grave. The slut camps of Arendor.
Look, what actually impresses me the most is he actually took the time and effort to make a canon out of this by connecting it back to the transgender Thunderdome. Wow.
We are slowly building a post-apocalyptic world that
Ruled by the rump cock.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
George R. R. Martin does less world building than you do. And he's got a 3,000-page book on the Targaryens.
But
To be fair, you know, with the checkpoint outlines and the final encounter cast outlines, I'm also pretty sure that we've done more writing in the last 4 years than he's done in 10.
He might actually have more dicks than us, though.
Well, I'll say this. We've used more writing than he's used in the last 10. I guarantee he's done more. It's just he doesn't use any of it.
Yeah, where is it?
He keeps throwing it away.
Can we read it?
Why would you? The publishers are like, really, George? Dorn, again?
Straight up.
Try again.
He posts like chapters that he decides aren't good enough on his website. Like you can go read like abandoned chapters of Game of Thrones. Absolutely.
That's actually really funny.
He does write
kinda
them.
cool, actually.
He just then says, well, instead of doing this chapter, how about I write 12 more about this? God damn it, George. Put your goddamn book out. But I got 5 more coming. They're going to be great. There are 2 next year. He said that, by the way. Bitch! He said he might expect 2 books next year. Go to hell, George.
Yeah, right.
Fuck you.
That ain't coming.
You might expect them. They won't come, but you'll be expecting those books.
No one expects them anymore. That ship has sailed.
You fucking kidding me?
He's going to do some kind of marketing campaign so you will start expecting them.
Jesus. Ugh. Yeah, he's gonna put out the pre-order and let us all get our hopes
Game
up.
of Thrones early access.
I mean, I sort of feel like at some they're
The Game of Thrones DLC.
like they're gonna have to wrap up the show before the books are resolved.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, do you think that he's gonna do a swerve on the book ending from the series ending? Because
What
like,
I've
why
heard
else
is that
would
he's told them like the main points of the ending, and that the big points will be the same, but a lot of the little details will be very different.
Yeah, but this is
that
the
way
same.
they don't. So that way they don't spoil each other. That was the whole thing.
This is the same guy who planned to write this as a trilogy.
right?
This is supposed to be a trilogy.
So are we still on book 2?
We're on book 5.
That's not a trilogy.
I agree, it's not a trilogy. There's still more books coming.
That's a hexapoly.
When did he start writing this?
1990, 1980 something. I think
We have a cartoon about it?
I thought it was 1980 something.
it might have been in the 80s. It was a long time ago.
That's what I thought.
Here's how you know how it's been a long time. What the hell is wrong with you? There is debate as to whether or not the term Onion Knight was coined
It was
by
96.
Square Enix or by George R. R. Martin.
Really?
Yeah, it started on one of them.
Wow.
Really?
I'll be goddamned.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, 1996 was when it came out. so-
96.
That's
Yeah.
way later than I would have thought.
Wow. Yeah. A lot. Like a.
Yeah.
Well, because his first few books did come out really fast. It's just then there was a long gap between the 4th one and a longer gap between the
Yeah,
5th
it says
one.
96, 98, 2000, and
Yep.
then 2005,
Oh, gosh.
2011.
Yeah, exactly.
So also, like Square Enix, the development time between is longer and longer every time.
Wow.
That's so next gen.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, do we want to just real quick before we get into the news?
No, we don't want to.
Do we want to take bets on? Maybe this isn't fair. Did anyone actually download the leaked HBO?
Did
episode?
anyone do that?
did anyone
Chris?
Did anyone download it?
Never,
I can
never,
say I have
ever.
never downloaded
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I
Did you see the episode?
I have not seen the full episode.
He's seen half of it.
He's seen half of
That's
it.
what he says.
No
I think he's seen
spoiling.
all of it except the credits.
All right, fuck it. I was gonna ask a question if none of us had been tainted by it, but
Go ahead and ask it.
No,
I
no,
can't
I'm not.
answer.
No. I'm not even gonna float it out there because this motherfucker is gonna say the right answer.
I won't say- I won't
Be
say-
coy about it, and everyone is gonna be like,
I won't
fucking
say anything.
spoilers.
Hold on. Make him leave. Get out of the room.
Yeah,
Get out of the room.
What, mute my microphone.
No,
No,
get
get
out
out
of
of
the
the
room.
fucking
We don't
room.
even want to see your reaction to
Yeah.
anything.
Fine.
Make sure you turn sideways to get through the door.
rude.
Who's biting it? Who's biting it in that White Walker attack? I think one of our party is going to be turned into a White Walker.
As sad as it is to say, I'm going to go with the Hound.
Oh, please no. My guess is Jorah Mormont.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Mine's Jorah.
I feel like the way
maybe.
I feel like the way that they built that scene, especially between Daenerys and Jorah, that was
with
sort of
the-
like
with
the
the bitter
final goodbye.
farewell.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's who I'd go for.
I think it makes the most narrative sense for it to be Jorah.
It then gives Daenerys the drive to want to ally and destroy the White
Fuck
Walkers
yeah.
if they kill Jorah.
Oh, okay. Yep, I changed my mind.
Yep.
It's also because she's very emotionally attached to Jorah. I think that's
It becomes personal at that point.
well,
Tormund, please no.
Oh.
Not the wildling leader. I can't do. He has to get together with Brienne of Tarth.
I know.
I can't.
I know. I love
Just
that
because
so
he
much.
turns undead doesn't mean he can.
Oh, come on now. Ugh. That's gross.
See, you guys seem to think that like one side has to defeat the other. Why can't they just come together?
My big prediction is that we're going to find out that Gendry's warhammer is made of Valyrian steel. That is my big prediction for what we're going to find out.
Interesting. He definitely wields that thing like a motherfucking badass.
He does, and his teacher, the smith who taught him, was one of the 3 guys in Westeros who could reshape Valyrian steel. He was one of the only 3 who could do it.
Interesting.
So my guess is that his hammer is either he reshaped it or it is the hammer that belonged to Robert Baratheon, and he had a Valyrian steel hammer because he used a warhammer as well.
That's right.
Those are my
and
guesses.
he had unusual prowess in battle.
He sure did, because he was a huge, beastly dude. I think in the books, Ned describes Robert as every maiden's dream. Because like before, like in the modern era, he's like super fat and lecherous, but like when he was younger, he was like chiseled from stone.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to call fat back?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I think narratively that makes the most sense.
Agreed.
I'm going to be really interested to see tonight's episode. Good episode on its way. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Grab Fatty and get him back in here. And of course, also tonight is Twin Peaks at 8 on Showtime. I think there's only 3. I think there's technically 4 episodes left, but one is a double, like a back-to-back double header.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the finale is a 2-hour
It's the last
double header.
2 quote-unquote episodes.
Right.
I think he's shitting.
Really?
I think so. I'm not finding out.
Ugh. I don't blame you.
He's not in the kitchen, and he's not in the living room on the couch. Those are the only 2 places I know to look for him.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't think he went for a walk.
Masturbating in Nate's bed.
Be a little bit
That could also be possible.
too healthy. All right, let's check out what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
Alrighty, 14 months after the trailer that got us all excited for the game, Mewtwo is finally making his way into Pokemon Go. He'll be part of the new exclusive raid system, which will allow players to participate only if they've cleared a raid at that gym recently. Players will be invited back well in advance to give time to secure allies and make plans.
This
is weird.
Is anyone excited for Mewtwo or this?
No,
at all?
I am dreading this.
I'm never going to get this guy.
And not even in a good way. Not like it's super rare. Because, yes, it does make it rare. And, Nika, I understand that you're in a very densely populated area, so you probably have the best chance. But that's not even the reason that I think this is a bad call. The reason I think this is a bad call is it goes against every sort of every way that Pokemon Go up until this point has been designed from like a philosophical way, right? If you want to raid for Mewtwo, no,
a biblical way even.
If you want to raid for Mewtwo, you have to spend money. You absolutely have to. There's no way that you're going to go out with your one daily raid pass, do a raid somewhere, and then hope that's where Mewtwo spawns. So even if you decide, I'm going to spend a whole day doing this, you need to spend money. And up until this point, most of Pokemon Go is about, you can always spend money to sort of get ahead, but if you're willing to put in the extra work, the extra effort for it, then you can find ways to get more balls, to get more berries, that kind of stuff.
Niantic just subsidized all my raiding for the next year. They got to find a way to get me to burn through those raid passes.
But that depends. No, see, that depends on if they tell you which raid it is well ahead of time. Like if they say, hey, this Gengar raid that's going on right now is the trigger to get Mewtwo, everyone come to this one, then you can save your raid pass for that specific raid.
Do you think that's what they're going to do?
I don't. Especially not with the way that they've described the system. Mm-hmm. From the description of the system, it sounds like you need to use as many raid passes as possible. After the raid is done, the app will call you, will say, hey, remember that raid you just did? come back because there's a Mewtwo now.
It's earned you a Mewtwo raid pass.
See, now I hope that's not the case, because even in my area, the way that people go out to raid is they will plan it around their lunch break and stuff. Like, oh, hey, there's a Zapdos at this specific time. If they go out and do it, and then they have to go back to work, they can't go back for a Mewtwo. Like, that's not going to make any sense.
They have said that you will have plenty of advance notice for your Mewtwo. You will have time to plan.
I get that, but what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that I'll know the raid ahead of time before I do it is going to trigger the Mewtwo?
Or you'll know if you have the trigger long enough in time to find people that also have the trigger.
Yeah, or are they just going to give me 9 fucking hours to go get it? Because if it's the 9 hour thing, fuck that. That is so stupid.
Yeah, because the issue is at that point, like, what if not enough people have even done a raid at that particular gym, and it was like a 1-star that you soloed, and there hasn't been a legendary there recently, people haven't done one there recently, so you can't find people. That's
not just that.
We need more information is what we need. Come on, Niantic.
I can tell you, people in my area are thinking that, like, you have to currently at this moment spend as many raid passes as you can at as many different gyms as you can right now.
That's what our
people
Discord
are like
thinks.
racing around to do raids at a billion different gyms. And when I brought this up to you guys, you all are like, no, that's not what it's going to be.
Prove it, because I don't remember that, Nika.
It was definitely you that said that.
Don't remember that. You can't
and
prove
they're like,
it.
no, it's going to be an indicated raid that tells you when you're going to get the invitation. And it could be, but there is nothing at this point that has indicated how it's actually going to play out.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think after Mewtwo spawns and you can start collecting Mewtwo, I think what's going to happen is after you complete a raid, there's a chance you're going to get an exclusive raid pass for that gym. There's been a black raid pass data mined. I think you're going to get that raid pass that's attached to that gym, and then when a Mewtwo spawns, you've done it recently, so you can use that raid pass that's exclusive to that gym and fight Mewtwo.
So basically, you would collect raid passes for various gyms in the area, and when the Mewtwo pops in that one, you can get it.
This idea of putting layers of RNG under more layers of RNG just over and over again.
But they have to encourage people to raid somehow. We've seen it happening already. As soon as people get their legendary, they stop.
Yeah. So you know what? I have an idea. As Niantic,
I know people that have like 20 of each.
Why don't I start putting potions into raids that then makes it so that rare candies don't drop anymore?
No, that's not true. I mean, if you actually look
it's just less of them.
Yeah, if you look
No, it's not less of them. It's less chance for them. You have a 13 to 18% chance that rare candies will drop to you.
Now, thanks to potions.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah, but potions are needed more than revives, I would say.
Okay, so
get rid of the fucking revive.
Except they didn't take out the revives. So it's now potions and revives.
Yeah.
Well,
You've only
super potions and hyper potions and revives.
Oh, they're not even max potions. God damn it.
Just go spin Pokestops.
Hyper
people.
potions are
Jeez.
practically max potions anyway.
Yeah, I mean, hyper potions are just as good, but super potions are dumb.
It really is. It really is just a matter of going and spinning more Pokestops.
If they really wanted to help out the players by giving them more potions, it should have been like a little package. So if you failed your RNG roll and you got those revives, you got revives and super potions and hyper potions as one little bundle.
Yeah,
That'd be
I would
cool.
agree with that.
But no,
yes.
people are getting too many rare candies, too many of the other things.
Golden
raspberries.
No, the golden raspberries I do agree with. I had at one point like 170 golden raspberries.
Yeah,
because I just wasn't using them.
I've got 200 golden raz and 200 rare candies. It's like...
Yeah, I'm sitting on like 150
Now
rare.
you do, but hold on to them because now they're super rare. Well, not super rare, but now they're going to be not dropping as much as you want.
That's right. So quickly, we actually didn't get to talk about legendary rating after the first injection of it at the Chicago. How did you guys do with your birds? Like, I got all of my birds.
I got a bunch of Articunos. I've got a couple Moltres and one Zapdos.
What was your best legendary, like, percentage wise?
I've got like a 97% Articuno.
Damn.
And a 94% Lugia.
That's nice.
Yeah.
The 94 Lugia is
pretty
really
sweet.
nice. Yeah, especially because you can push up its CP to such a ridiculous.
High, yeah.
Yeah. Robbie, how about you?
I got everything. I only got one Moltres because there's way better fire Pokemon that you can get. Tons of Articuno since when I was in Chicago. They had the 100% capture rate.
Yeah. Right.
And same, same with the Lugias. And I got 5 Zapdos of varying quality, 80 to 90. I think like Callie over there, my best is a Lugia that's within like the top 5% of like 90.
Nice. Chris?
I never did any of my percentages, so I don't even know.
I got 5 Articuno, 3 Zapdos.
Whoops.
and 1 Moltres, because who gives a fuck? I'm 1 for 1 on Moltres.
Yeah.
And 1 Lugia, but like all their percentages are like at least amazing, but it doesn't really matter.
Because dude, my Moltres, I had that down to the fucking wire. Now this was before we knew that they were going to do the extra.
They're going to fucking cater the casuals and be like, oh hey, remember how crazy you guys were? Well, we're gonna just throw that all for naught.
Yeah, right.
Dicks.
So
I have a good Moltres, as it turns out.
The Moltres that I got, it was right as Zapdos had started spawning, right?
Jeez.
And so it was basically a situation where the Moltres that were up, that was it. That was the last Moltres that ostensibly I thought I was going to see.
As far as you knew.
As far as I knew.
That was your last shot.
Right, yeah. And so I found 1 Moltres with 30 minutes left. And I park, it was in Royal Oak down at the fountain, and I park and I walk up and there's 2 guys that are there and that's it. And I'm like, fuck.
By the way, he's complaining to us that he's ready to quit the game over this.
Of course.
I was, dude, if I had missed Moltres, I was ready to kind of give up.
You could have gotten it now.
And that's completely
That's true.
Up to you, because you're the entitled millennial. That's just, if they can't have everything, you can't have nothing.
Well, no, I think what I was saying was that if I didn't get it, my interest in the app was going to like it was going to do a nosedive. Because my dex completion is
no, that's a big deal. I would have been meant to.
Yeah, my dex completion is probably the one thing, since Pokemon Go came out that I've been like actually, like once the dex is complete, I'm like, I check out, right?
Yeah.
Because once I got Zapdos, I was like, okay, I'm pretty good on rating. Like if I drive by some place that I see a Zapdos or a Lugia up and there's plenty of people around, I'll stop. But I don't actually.
You don't seek it out.
I don't use.
You're not actively rating.
I barely even use my daily raid pass anymore. So it was a situation where. Like if I hadn't gotten it, dude, I was like, I was ready to be like, fuck this bullshit. And so it was me and 2 other guys, and these 2 other guys were, we were good enough to take it down, but just barely.
Yeah.
And I think I had 3 balls left when I caught it, and it was just like, it was fucking so down to the wire. And then I went and did 2 more Zapdos that day and didn't get any.
Good.
Didn't get any. No Zapdos. No, I ended up getting 4 or 5 Zapdos by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And one of them was 92%. So that's not bad. Nah, I mean, considering I don't have much for a strong electric type, that's not.
Nobody does.
I was going to say, even if you did actually get a strong Jolteon or a strong Electabuzz, you're still right at the 2K mark with
strong Ampharos, even a best Ampharos is only 2,500.
Yeah. Until Magnezone comes out, I think Zapdos is probably going to be one of the better electric types that you can get.
If only he didn't have that garbage flying type.
I know.
If only he was a dog too. And his name is Raikou.
Yeah, that's true. But we don't know when they're going to put those out. I mean,
they're going to come out as soon as we're done with the Zapdos.
No,
they won't.
No,
Guys,
I think that's going to take a while.
Have you heard about this rumor that's going around where people have speculated that if whoever catches the first of the legendary in a raid, if they press OK, that means no one else gets it?
That is not true.
This is a widespread rumor
bullshit.
that is tearing people apart.
No,
bullshit.
The rumor is that there's a certain amount, that there's a catch rate, and that each person that presses OK lowers the catch rate for the next player. And
so people want you not to press OK if you catch it.
Yes, that is a widespread thing. People are like, it's true. This is actually happening because I've had people yell at me for pressing OK.
Oh my god!
Did you tell them to get a life?
I've said that in every single raid, and and I can tell you it's all anecdotal because I can tell you I did a Moltres raid with 8 people and all 8 of us caught it, and we did not do that OK trick.
You pressed OK? Oh my gosh!
It's completely RNG. People are just they think that one anecdote equals data.
It's so fucking stupid. It's so dumb.
It's stupid. There's no preset raid cap. It's all fucking RNG. Just get over it.
Assault Jerkin's broken. It doesn't drop. I haven't caught it in 20 tries or gotten it in 20 tries.
It is. Dude, it is.
Pokemon Go players are the worst people ever.
They really
people
are.
Who would use a Gyarados while fighting a Zapdos.
No, here's the thing:
why would you not?
They just have the worst players ever because they're so widespread. There is no one demographic of gamer or person who plays this stupid game.
I don't know. I just know that I don't like most of them.
That said,
definitely.
I'm getting sick of seeing Rhydons and Gyarados in gyms, you bad players.
No. I mean, like, you are right, because there's, there is a widespread in terms of, like, guy in a button-up shirt coming from an office, you know what I mean? And, there's, like...
The amount of coming in with their parents.
The amount of elderly people that I see playing it is on
yeah.
another
There's
level.
a couple old people in my area that I see at like every raid.
I'll be like walking out of, like Walmart or something, and I'll hear that telltale like the clicking sound. When you select something, and I'm like, where is that?
Like people who are probably older than my parents, so like they probably maybe had a kid that played Pokemon and now they play it.
Right. And it is interesting from that point, from that perspective. But then you also get like the snaggletooth, 4 teeth, like meth head motherfucker coming straight out of the trailer park.
The mystic guy who always has the cane.
Yeah.
And like the thing is like there's enough, like, the split is about 50-50 between normal people who just kind of, they're just still into the game, and just like complete train wrecks of humanity that, like,
let's call them uggos.
This is the best thing they have going on in their life.
Pro tip: if you want to separate the decent people from the uggos, just be like, all right, Valor over here, Mystic and Instinct over there.
Do you have any Mystic or Valor in your city? Because everywhere I go, it's Instinct everywhere now.
No.
I have a lot. See, I've noticed Instinct likes to take the gyms and just sit their Pokemon in the gyms. But when I do raids, it's almost like a pretty even.
That's fair.
With a little bit less Instinct, but Mystic and Valor are really strong. And then there's always a couple Instinct every single raid I do.
All right,
we've spent enough time on this.
We've spent like 30 minutes.
I got nobody cares apparently.
No, Nika, you have caught way more than any of us.
I think Robbie might have more than me.
That's horseshit.
Because how many Articunos did you catch in Chicago?
I think I have 12 Articunos.
See, I have 8 Articunos, so he's got.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god!
Yeah, but we got him at 100% catch rate.
You're some kind of moron.
True.
You know that?
I have 4 Lugias and 4 Moltres and 3 Zapdos. See, I don't have that many.
You need to get more Lugias.
Yeah.
You need to get a place out of those.
But I have,
Why?
but I have a Moltres that's really high. It has 2 stats that are maxed out. I don't know what percentage that is. But
Espeon does more damage.
Espeon?
Yeah.
Espeon's pretty good.
I hear Espeon is a pretty decent like tank for these.
Espeon would be no. Espeon would be great if it didn't get one shot. Umbreon's a decent tank.
Oh, maybe it's Umbreon.
Yeah, Umbreon can take some heads.
Umbreon has attack roughly equal to Blissey. So.
All right.
So don't use Umbreons.
Let's move on to some good.
Wasn't it you that really advocated for Umbreon?
Because he was able to survive.
Okay, give me my Stardust back.
But see, now that they actually have changed the raids, it seems anyway that if you reset your party and go into the second one, you don't lose your damage bonus anymore.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I went one time. I mean,
did you press OK afterwards?
This sounds anecdotal.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but lots of people are saying it, and there was a time where I lost my whole party. I only came back in I was only on my second guy, and I got 3 balls of damage bonus, and we had like 8 people in the raid. So
yeah, actually, I think I agree with that. I had one the other day where I got knocked out, and my damage was fine.
It doesn't.
Putting a tank in your 6th slot doesn't matter anymore because you still get your damage bonus now.
Yeah, and it's just a DPS check against the timer. That's it. That's straight up all it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So following the sad incident in Charlottesville, Discord has taken a stand against the alt-right, shutting down servers dedicated to the website altright.com, as well as the accounts linked to the Charlottesville rally.
Good.
Excellent. Good call.
Good. Yeah, seriously. Now, if only our president could figure out how to do something similar.
Why would he do that?
Why would he?
I know why he wouldn't. It's because he actually supports them. So
I was actually suggested this to my brother, and he's like, and he asked me why would he, and I kind of stared at him dumbfounded. He said, "Listen, the only people who are going to ever vote for him again are these people. Why would he piss them off?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, interesting.
I mean, we didn't take a moment to talk about it last week.
No.
Mostly because I think everyone was still kind of absorbing what was happening. But yeah, what happened in Charlottesville was absolutely disgusting. And
it's weird. Like Charlottesville is not that far from me, so it's kind of weird. Like thinking, like, I mean, I guess it's technically like not the super, like, when I think of Virginia and it's like northern around DC, Charlottesville's not one of the more diverse areas, but I've always pictured it as like a smaller town. Like, I didn't expect something like this to go down in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
So it's
it's always kind of like that. It's not a town you expect it to happen in.
Right.
Like these kinds of things are like, it's not like Pittsburgh or Atlanta or, major cities. It always is kind of like a smaller city, it seems like.
You know why? Because those cities have black people that live in them.
Fair. And we have Detroit around here, but
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that, and we've seen through the counter protests, like, people don't take kindly to this shit. Like,
No.
people do not put up with this bullshit. So of course it had to happen in a place like Charlottesville, because that's the only place it can happen. Like that
in Boston, didn't they get drowned out like 1,000 to 1 or something like that? Yeah.
And I mean, it was only like a couple hundred people that showed up in Charlottesville. Like, that's the first thing, is that some of the pictures make it seem like a whole lot more people than it was, because there's a lot of tiki torches. But there was actually not as many people as you would think, or as the pictures would lead you to believe.
God, my dad, we were having people over yesterday, and he's like, can you go grab some tiki torches for the house? Because we're like the ones that you could light that repel bugs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how about I just get one of the lanterns that does that? And he's like, oh, yeah, good call. I just don't want to have that moment with the checkout guy.
Tiki torches are tainted for life.
Kinda.
Even the Tiki Torch company came out and said we're not affiliated. We don't condone this. Please keep buying us.
What an awful day for the president of that company.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have been hearing the cosplay community drama, but there was one cosplayer that marched amongst that, and she has been blasted.
Good.
And the thing is then she comes out saying, I wasn't actually at the Torch March. It was the next day that video was recorded as we were walking the 2-mile walk back to our cars. But the thing is that she's hand in hand with her boyfriend who is chanting, and she's like, I was just kind of along for the ride. And I'm like,
get the fuck out.
Nobody
get to be along for the ride.
Nobody just gets to be along for the ride for a Nazi rally.
And the thing is, if you even believe her for a second, the fact is, if that was me and I was just following some friends down there and then I realized what was going on, I would have pieced the fuck out in a second.
Guys.
Fuck
and
yeah.
The thing is that she didn't. So what does that say about her?
Guys, there's a term for people like that. They're Nazi sympathizers.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. And the whole thing, I think, is disgusting, mostly because of how many young faces I saw in that crowd. Faces our age or younger. And it's not that I'm so naive that I think, racism doesn't touch our generation or things like that. But I mean, it really is startling to see that this is not some entrenched bullshit, that is just a holdover from an older generation. Yes, I do think that kind of behavior is learned behavior, and it's taught by our parents or grandparents, but at the same time, though, we're responsible for our actions. And, this may sound bad, but when it was racism against Muslims in the wake of 9/11, it was still awful and it was still vile and evil, but I at least understood the countervailing force that led people to that conclusion.
You understand where the hysteria comes from.
9/11 was a galvanizing enough moment where I can go, okay, I at least can understand that process. But I do not understand what the countervailing force is that I've lived through that has produced white supremacists that are my age or younger.
No idea. It blows my mind.
I don't know. The only thing that we've seen, and it really even shouldn't push you towards white supremacy, but we did see the huge stock market crash. We saw the big recession, but that's the only major kind of event that we've had in this generation that's kind of pushed towards. And I guess we all grew up with 9/11 too, but it's been 20 years, guys.
Yeah.
Or not 20 years, but going on 20 years. And
it's insane how, nationalism can sort of bubble up and rise. And one of the things that, and I think this may have been a Richard Spencer quote, but one of the quotes that I saw thrown around in the last couple of weeks has been oh well, there's no one at the dinner table anymore that has any context for World War II. And I think how he was saying it is that, so that, we can reintroduce things like fascism as valid ideas, and the shadow of Hitler isn't over an entire generation. But, think of what he's really saying there. Like, we actually haven't, we have lost an entire generation who was there for World War II and had a direct connection and context for this shit. And I think it's important for everyone to remember what those people were like, because obviously we knew them. We knew what our grandparents were like. Mm-hmm. I mean, if my grandparents saw that shit,
oh God,
if they saw Nazi flags in the fucking streets, to that fucking degree, you bet your ass they would be out there resisting and counter protesting and making their voice heard.
I got to talk to my grandmother yesterday, who is 93. She was there for that, and she was utterly disgusted by it.
Yeah,
first of all, for her to comprehend it, first of all, it took time.
How can something is this real?
How is this possibly happening?
Yeah,
and it's absolutely disgusting. I saw an article on The Onion today, and it actually made me think of something you said the other night, where it's like, nation begs disaffected youth to just get high and play Xbox. Can we just go back to doing that? And you said in the chat the other day, what was it? Remember when the biggest issue that we had to worry about was
poison water in
Flint? Man, I miss that.
I know, right?
And you know what? That's still a thing, you guys. Okay,
it is, but we don't think about it anymore.
It is, but
we
it's
can't
not.
Think about it.
But it's. I'm just saying. The exact quote was, "Remember when our biggest problem was poison water in Flint?" It is still a problem. I'm not saying it's
still Flint's biggest problem.
I'm not saying
anything.
Well, it'll be Flint's biggest problem until North Korea. Right, until
the nuclear bomb.
That's
happens.
right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they can't reach Flint yet, can they?
I think Chicago was the largest estimate
right now. All right, so we don't have to worry about that.
We've got a little time.
This is North Korea.
We don't have to worry about that for a while.
Anyway, so yeah, I think it's just a very disappointing week. And
we talked about this on Wednesday. If you're the president, and your numbers are in the tank, and most people are not happy with you, isn't this almost what you're just licking your chops for? The most
give me an easy one.
This is the most softball political win there is.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump, all you have to do is go on the air and say you don't like Nazis.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do that.
But both sides.
Yeah.
But both sides are at fault. Both sides suck. Basically, everybody sucks.
That is such a softball political win.
So let me bring this full circle back into Final Encountercast with something that you just said, with that Onion article that begs disaffected youth to just go back and play Xbox
and get high.
Is this? I guess, is this that surprising when you consider how much casual racism you encounter on something like Xbox Live or voice chats?
It's not, and that's what sucks.
And I think that was the thing that I realized, that I was like, oh, it's not that surprising, it's not that shocking. I hear this shit every fucking day that I play a multiplayer match.
And how often do you just give the pass of, oh, it's just some idiot kid online? We find ourselves giving that pass all the time, and this is what comes of it eventually.
Yeah. Those idiot kids end up becoming idiot adults that end up making more idiot kids.
Right.
So, if you took the average cross section of an online video game player, you get an average kind of cross section of humanity as well. And there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of prejudice that still exists out there. And while it is disappointing, I don't think it's that surprising.
Well, let's talk about something more fun.
Yay.
Fun.
Remember when Battle.net was Blizzard's online multiplayer service and everyone knew it?
What's that?
Yeah, exactly. What's that? They changed it to Blizzard's, just a Blizzard app, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Blizzard has admitted that their attempt at rebranding was a mistake, and as such are resurrecting the old name. However, because nothing can ever be simple, it'll now be called BlizzardBattle.net. Just call it Battle.net, guys. Everyone knew that was your online service.
Okay, here's the thing. No one stopped calling it that. I feel like Blizzard came back in. They're like, all right, Battle.net, you got your job back. And he's just like, I never left.
Literally,
I've been showing up and you've been paying me.
No one stopped calling it that. Everyone's still like, oh, are you on Battle.net? Because that's all it is.
What's your BNet name?
Yep.
That's what it's been since 95?
Yep.
Something like that, yeah.
I've never said to someone, what's your Blizzard name?
Well, that was dumb.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Wow, that Teddy FF14, he's giving a compliment that I did not think we were going to get. I thought we'd get the opposite. Says, I just want to say I love you guys for using your voice to talk about Charlottesville.
It's an important fucking thing to talk about.
It is.
But it doesn't have to do with video games.
I know. I thought we would get a lot of pushback on that, but
I mean,
nice to hear the other way.
I kind of did too. But that's the thing is that like if you see something like that, you've got to speak out against it. Especially like
we've learned what silence leads to.
Especially because we talk about free speech a lot on the show. Like it's definitely something that we've gone back to again and again. We like to use very colorful language. We like to say things that are offensive. We like to make people react. Those are fun things to do as sort of a media organization when you've got a lot of eyes on you. We've got 97 pairs of eyes on us right now, and fucking with you guys and making you either react or laugh or
sometimes cringe.
type something in the chat, whatever it is. Like that's our goal, is to make you react in some form or fashion,
to engage us.
And oftentimes humor uses that kind of audacious reaction to be able to function. And when we talk about things like free speech, again, we talk about these as ideals and concepts that do need defending. The thing is that they are just that. They are concepts. And the minute that free speech is being used as a way to shield yourself from criticism for acts of violence, for inciting acts of violence, for preaching violence against specific people, that's where it stops.
Yeah.
Unless you're the president.
Period. Like, that's where it fucking stops. Like, I will defend a joke and a right, anybody's right to tell whatever joke they want. I'll defend people's right to say whatever they want. Basically, look, like my metric for this is the ACLU. And when the ACLU says that's indefensible,
go to hell,
we're not going to have anything to do with this, that's like I feel quite comfortable drawing that same line for myself. Mm-hmm. But anytime and the way that I personally feel about it, anytime I see the fucking hoods or the swastikas come out, I'm done.
You've lost your right to defend at that point.
And you know what? It's hard for me to feel bad. I don't encourage violence, and I don't encourage things like like doxing of Nazis. I thought that story was pretty disgusting as well.
The guy who got misidentified.
Yeah.
That's
God, that was horrible.
That's why you can't take shit like that into your own hands.
That's part of it. But I mean, doxing is doxing. If it's a shitty tactic, no matter what it is. And I think most of those people like the thing is, I feel like social media picked apart the same fucking photos that have been plastered across every news organization. If you thought that wasn't going to get back to their bosses at all, like, you're fucking wrong. Like, it would have eventually, like, you don't get to do shit like that. You don't get to attend a Nazi rally and then not see any kind of consequences. It's just the internet decided to take it into its own hands and speed that process up.
Think about growing up, and you've got things like Indiana Jones. You've got, Nazis are the bad guys. You've got things like Nazis are the most easy target bad guys in the history of American cinema.
Yeah.
You think that maybe if you go to a rally and say that you're a Nazi, people are going to be okay with that? Probably not.
Oh, but they're not. They're alt-right.
They're all sure.
Western chauvinist.
The best one that I saw was someone saying, "You keep calling them Nazis. What did you expect? They were just young men trying to blow off steam, but you did this to them."
Here's what I expect when you're doing something and someone calls you a Nazi for it. Maybe reevaluate what it is you're doing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they all have Adolf
like
Hitler
the actual
quotes
term
on
I
their
think
backs.
is neo-Nazi.
Oh, good.
They're like, no, we're not Nazis. I'm like, no, because the Nazi party died in Germany. You are neo-Nazis, which are basically the exact same shit in a different country.
Yeah, and again, it's not about, yes, it is partly about signifiers, but it's also about dogma. It's also about the thought behind it and the ideals behind it. Right,
you can call yourself, a gumdrop if you want. If you still have the same beliefs as the Nazi party, That's not good.
And here's the thing is that, you know, like I don't want to revel in counter-protest violence against the neo-Nazis. I don't want to, but I find myself on an emotional level absolutely reveling in it and going, yeah, I think that that's okay. You know why? Because for years, for decades, I've watched fucking footage of civil rights protesters having hoses turned on them and dogs let loose on them and
Sitting Rock
and having the shit beaten out of them by fucking cops. Like, and none of that is happening to these alt-right protesters. There's no cops beating the shit out of them for their shitty ideas.
But apparently, cops allowed feces to be thrown on them, and that was horrible, according to the people that marched.
Oh, boo-hoo.
I have no idea. They're like, the cops just sat there and watched as people threw urine and feces on us.
If you're,
that's what I was hearing.
By the way, if you're a police officer, how are you supposed to defend that? Like how, like morally, how do you sit there? Like, I know the law says they have the right to protest, so. But what do you do?
Right.
Like, how do you, like, justify it to yourself?
But, I mean, like, dude, can you... I think I would have a real crisis of conscience being a cop right now, specifically right now in 2017. Because how exactly do you square that circle that we sit cops on protesters like Occupy Wall Street and on situations that, you know, violence was not needed at all, and yet here's the, you know,
the village people, you know, with torches and stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
And I think there's a big difference of just there's a right to voice and right to protest, and the second it becomes anywhere near violent, that's different, and that's where it gets shut down. But
I mean, maybe. Again, if I was a cop right now, I would have a very hard time sleeping, I think.
I definitely. All right, moving on.
Sorry.
Riot is in legal trouble over their striker Lucian skin. A court in the Netherlands has ruled the skin infringes on the rights of retired player Edgar Davids because, well, yeah, it's just him. As part of the ruling, Riot must disclose how much money they've made off the skin, paying a percentage to Davids.
Okay, hold on. Before anybody says anything, you left a very important part out of this. This skin came out back in like 2014 or 2015.
Yeah, this was years ago.
And this player, this athlete, tweeted at Riot saying, "Cool skin, guys. Thanks for the homage, whatever." He was basically like, "That's awesome. That's cool that you guys did that." And now 3 years later, he's suing them? What?
That's a little messed up.
They're using his likeness without a written contract.
But he should have said that in the first place, not wait till now.
Well, it's no. Don't put stipulations that don't exist. You have like 7 years or something before it like becomes like statute of limitations or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, legal.
You should have done something.
Right,
No,
okay. I'm not going to say he should have, but it just seems
okay. From a legal
he's doing something.
From a legal standpoint, it is legally defensible for him to do this.
Yes.
Like, does it make him a shitty person? Yeah, but what it sounds like is either his lawyer got wind of it, or he started talking to a lawyer,
or he was running out of money and needed a way to stay relevant.
Fell on hard times and was like, "Hey, I got that ace up my sleeve."
Could be.
I
mean,
okay, so Riot's the idiot for using his likeness without permission.
Yeah, I mean, they should have gotten permission. That is a little interesting.
Yeah. I mean, this is Riot, after all. It's not like they don't have resources at their disposal.
It's not some indie company.
And to be fair, it's a pretty crappy skin, so I doubt many people bought it.
A lot of the striker skins all sold pretty well. Not in USA, but in Europe. A TV show is being created using the universe of the MMO, The Secret World, which focuses on 3 legendary secret societies that combat mystical forces. And of course, Johnny Depp's on board as a producer.
Why not?
Is he gonna just totally beat some ass while he's on set?
If his wife's there, sure.
Well, yeah, the doy.
I imagine he would. He always does otherwise.
My question is twofold. Why the secret world?
That's a great question.
And because obviously the secret world has to do with like Lovecraftian type stuff, right? Secret societies.
No. It is Lovecraft inspired.
Okay.
It's not Lovecraftian.
Still, I feel like in order to, if you want to make a show about, you know, like Lovecraftian inspired stuff and secret societies, you don't need to necessarily be like, we need this video game property to do that.
Yeah,
right?
you just make one that's similar.
Especially the secret world. God, I don't even know how many times I didn't realize this existed again until it was brought up. And I'm like, oh yeah, that thing that I've probably heard about at some point.
Yeah, I think it came out when I was working at GameStop. And
exactly.
I
seems
feel
really
like
old.
we sold like a bunch of copies like the month it came out, and then the rest of the copies just sat on the shelf.
I feel like you would get more out of billing this as a Lovecraftian-inspired TV drama as opposed to The Secret World.
I agree.
I agree a lot.
And then secondly, Johnny Depp, what?
Yeah.
I have to wonder what the forces were that brought this project together, right? Like, there had to be someone either with the game that's like, man, our game is just not doing anything to pull people in. I know, let's call Johnny Depp. Or Johnny Depp.
Let's call a friend of the game,
or maybe
Johnny
Johnny
Depp.
Depp is like the one person who still plays it.
Well, no, but I mean, like, if you were going to choose a star that hadn't done anything relevant for a while, that might be coming a little bit on the cheaper side. I mean, Johnny Depp,
you know how
what's he fucking doing these days?
But didn't he do Lone Ranger recently? That was
if you want,
that was not good.
That was a bomb.
If you want to go with something recent, they just did a Pirates of the Caribbean, but look, this is what probably happened.
And no one went to see it. It was like the worst. It got some of the worst box office returns of any Pirates movie
Here's what
ever.
I think happened, Nate. I think you're on the right track. I think that, obviously he's getting some really bad publicity lately, so he's on the cheaper side, probably needs some money. Hey, video games are doing really good. What rights can we get really cheap to do something with?
I mean, I don't know, dude. It just seems like...
In what world are video game things doing well?
Video games just in general. Maybe not video game movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the industry is doing well.
So let's port that over to a TV show?
Well, hold on now. Movies have obviously always been terrible, but when it comes to, being made into animes or into like actual, I think, like shows, I think they're doing better than when they're just made into like
Besides
Hollywood movies.
Castlevania, name one.
Name one that's doing bad that was made into a TV show.
No, the burden of proof is on you. You made the statement.
Netflix is doing well, so
Netflix? That doesn't...
Get the fuck out, you piece of shit.
You're just making shit up now.
Well, it's more than you guys are coming up with.
Ooh, the defensiveness is so good. PlayStation Experience will be returning on December the 9th this year in Anaheim, California. The event will feature hands-on demos with PS4 Pro titles, dozens of VR demos, game developer panels, rare merch and collectibles, and more. And in addition, the Capcom Cup will be held at the event with a $250,000 prize pool.
I think that we're going to start seeing more of this.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing more tournaments that are...
Combined conventions.
Yeah, that are tacked on to other just gaming events. And I think that it's a good way to get excitement in for both of them, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
There is a tournament crowd, there's a convention crowd, and I don't know... I mean, there's obviously overlapping interest. But
there are gaming tournaments at every convention, and the gaming focused conventions have much more competitive tournaments. That's for sure.
Is anybody else kind of ruined since the international? Like, whenever I hear a prize pool, I'm just like, that's it.
Well, I mean, dude, like...
I mean, I know, but like the Capcom Cup and it's only $250,000.
Yeah, it's $250,000, but you got to think like, so the guy who wins it is going to win like $120,000 for one weekend of play.
Yeah,
I know, but
it's not like the prize pool for like the season championships. Like you're going to see another very big prize pool very shortly. Trust me, League of Legends is coming up.
League of Legends, yeah,
they're putting up $2.5 million plus a portion of whatever they sell in skins.
It's just a Dota clone.
It's the same thing.
I will murder you. Dear God.
But he's right,
The genuine contempt in his face when he
it's not
said
like you're
that.
calling Overwatch a Dota clone.
No, I call that a MOBA clone.
Yeah, it's completely different.
All right. So on a very slow news day this week, the Microsoft Office champion was crowned. For the first time, the trophy went
Wait, hang on.
You heard me.
Go back. What did you just say?
On a slow news day this week, the Microsoft Office champion was crowned.
How?
What is
Microsoft Office?
That's correct. For the first time, the trophy went to a North American as John DeMullen defeated 150...
For the first time?
First time a North American ever won it.
So the Microsoft Office Championship has been around?
Since the 90s.
And here's the best thing. It is always... Most people participate using the English version because localization is so bad. So this is the first time that a North American has won it, and it's always been done in English.
Wait, what exactly are they doing? Typing words per minute? Like Making spreadsheets?
There's one for Excel, PowerPoint, and Word.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not.
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
This guy won the Excel spreadsheet one, where he had to recreate a series of Excel spreadsheets after looking at it. He defeated 150 other competitors, although those were just the finalists of the 560,000 people who entered. The win netted John $7,000 cash and an Xbox.
How do you win this?
Xbox or
you can
Xbox
do
One?
stuff the fastest?
Yeah, you get how well you recreate it and how fast you do it.
That's okay. I mean,
Chris,
there's something to be said about
spreadsheets.
people who can do that.
Yeah, my friend Chase is extremely good at spreadsheets. Maybe he should try to.
I made some pretty mean PowerPoints back in high school.
This is the dumbest. Shut up, you little weasel.
I didn't say this was reported on a slow news day. Nestle's in hot water over an advertisement that Atari alleges copies its game Breakout. The reason they claim this is that, the advertisement shows a game of Breakout being played with bricks replaced by Kit Kat bars. In fact, the name of the advertisement is Kit Kat Breakout.
And again, they didn't ask permission or purchase the rights. They just did
how
it.
is this not covered under like parody?
I mean, no, because they're making money off of it. I think it's different.
Yeah, when it's your advertisement for your product.
Bingo.
Owned.
So, that's probably a pretty open and shut case, although Nestle says it's going to defend it, so we'll see. Undertale has arrived on PS4 and Vita, and yes, there is new game content in it, which means I will be buying it again.
What?
Really?
The four achievements?
No, there's new rooms with stuff going on in them.
Get the fuck out of here. I thought Toby Fox was, gonna die before he let that happen.
I know.
Maybe I'll actually play now.
My guess is that it's going to be the most stupid bullshit you can possibly imagine, where, literally the premise of it is they paid me some money and I didn't want to do it, so here's garbage. Enjoy.
You literally walk in and there's a single item.
It's probably going to be something stupid as shit. But nevertheless, because it exists, I'll buy it, so... And that's, I guess, kind of the point. Toby has brought his brand of humor to the concept of trophies as well as achievements. The Undertale can be had for $14.99 on Vita and PS4. Some of these trophies are great.
Thank God it came out for Vita.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be able to play this mobile.
You talk about a game that was designed for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So apparently it's Flowey's Torture Room. Great. Awesome. Can't wait to see what that looks like. And last but not least, Bethesda is currently listing postings for over 20 new job positions, basically hiring everything needed for a new big-budget game. With the quotes from earlier in the year that there were two major projects in line before Elder Scrolls 6 and the release of Wolfenstein 2 and Evil Within 2 on the horizon, we can now only speculate that Elder Scrolls 6 is in production.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I'm definitely ready for a new Elder Scrolls game.
Definitely.
For sure.
I mean, they can't put Skyrim on many more.
And there's no more systems for them to port it to.
Yeah, there's nothing else to put it on.
Port it to the Atari.
What about
3DS?
What about our smartwatches?
Yeah, we need the mobile version of Skyrim. There we go.
We have the
with
Switch.
microtransactions.
But the Switch is mobile
We have
enough.
Switch.
Yeah.
That's
Stupid
true.
idiot.
That's true. All right. Well, hopefully Elder Scrolls 6 will be on the way soon, so I never have to hear the word Skyrim again.
No.
That is a game that has worn out its welcome so hard.
Oh, and you don't think that in 30 years that Elder Scrolls 6 will have done the same thing
I think it will, but I mean, it's Morrowind didn't wear out its welcome like that. Oblivion did. I didn't even like Oblivion, and that didn't wear out its welcome.
But I think it's because Skyrim was the FF7 for a lot of people that had never played Elder Scrolls before.
Oblivion.
A ton of people got into it at Skyrim.
It did. I actually only bought Skyrim. I wouldn't call it peer pressure, but when it came out that day, it was everywhere that I'm just I'm going to go pick this game up.
Yeah.
Fushora.
No.
Fushora.
Oblivion, first of all, was co-published by 2K Games. So
Yes.
you've got to
really?
you've got to think that Bethesda's publishing arm was still developing at that point. But ZeniMax publishing arm was still developing at that point. But not just that, I don't think Oblivion ever sold well enough to justify porting it to other systems.
Because they killed off Patrick Stewart in the first 5 minutes of the game, and everyone was real mad about it.
See, I actually wasn't, because that would have been the first one that I got into, but the computer that I had at the time just wasn't quite there. You could run it and get it started, but you couldn't actually play it.
A lot of the things that people accepted by the time Skyrim came around, like the fast travel stuff, that was new in Oblivion. And people who were coming off Morrowind were like, wait, so I just bring up my map and click where I want to go?
That is true.
Where's the traveling? That's half the fun.
There was no fast travel in in Morrowind?
No, there was like you could do the Silt Striders to go from a major city to a major city.
Right.
But even then, only specific major cities.
Interesting.
There was no fast travel in Morrowind. Hell no.
Interesting.
The best, right? That's why Mark and Recall were so important in that game. Because getting
That's
back
true.
to the they say
like
go,
the quest giver and stuff.
Go to some cave like 5,000 steps to the west, and you're like, okay, great. There's 3 mountains in the way that I got to walk around, so but you could recall back.
Gotcha. And like 7 caves, by the way.
Yeah, there was like 20 caves. You had no idea which one you were trying to get to.
Yeah. Oh, Morrowind.
My favorite game for all of its problems.
Anyway, what continent do you see Elder Scrolls 6 taking place on?
Oh shit.
Eorzea.
I could see us
Fuck you.
If they're gonna
Azeroth.
I could see them maybe revisiting at this
Draenor.
point. I could see like Daggerfall getting to see it because you haven't.
No way.
Because you haven't seen like.
Aren't they going to put in a new continent? I thought they were going to go
I don't know, like
been unexplored.
Think about like
Yeah.
Daggerfall though.
marshes.
We only had Daggerfall in the context of a randomly generated like humongous ass continent.
No,
Like,
I get that, but I think that I mean the fact that you can play Daggerfall and it still feels like a fleshed out continent, like it actually feels like you're playing through.
can you really still play Daggerfall?
I mean, yeah, because
you have
I
a system
did.
that can
'cause
play it
I
still?
I did play through Daggerfall
Recently?
Yeah,
wow.
like
I can't believe it worked.
like that must have been in college. I think Bethesda did an official version of it that'll run on shit now.
Oh. I think you're right.
I think
they
it's
did.
even a free download if I'm not mistaken.
I thought that was Arena, but maybe it was Daggerfall.
I think Daggerfall is also out there as well.
Okay.
Anyway,
Alakir.
What?
Alakir.
Aliakir? Is that where you think we're going?
Yes.
Do you think that's how it's pronounced?
Yes.
As long as you think so.
Because it's a desert place.
All right, for more.
no, but I mean, like, so you had said Daggerfall. I disagree. I don't think we'll go back to Daggerfall, at least not for a while, especially with so many continents unexplored. I mean, because you've got wherever the Red Guard come from. I can't remember where that is, but the desert portion of the continent. Then you've also got Valenwood and elsewhere and Black Marsh all to the south. We've never seen any part of the southern continent. I feel like, except for the Shivering Isles, that's the only part that we've seen. I feel like that's where, like, in terms of variety and changing it up from Skyrim, that they've got to go somewhere in the south.
I can see the Black Marsh. If it's the damn desert, if we go from Skyrim to a desert, I'm going to be pissed.
I agree.
Because that's going to be boring.
I
but
agree,
if it's the Black Marshes, I'd be into that.
I think most people would say the same thing about Black Marsh, though, that they don't like I feel like the Argonians are sort of like the Dark Elves, where the Dark Elves were, around the time of Morrowind, right? Like, people were like, oh, an entire game about the Dark Elves, who gives a shit? And then they played it, and it was the bomb.
It was awesome,
yeah, exactly. And now Dark Elves are sort of like their lore. Like, when people make a Dark Elf, it's like they're,
Why, you know who the Dunmer are.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is everything gotta be dark with you?
Funny. Do you have something actual to add?
No,
here?
I've never played these games before.
Okay. Nika, how about you?
I haven't played these either. So.
Oh, fuck off. Really?
Yeah.
I thought you loved Elder Scrolls.
I'm
I
shocked.
think I probably will. My dad played a bunch of them growing up, so they've always been on my radar. And I own Skyrim. I just haven't played it.
I'm shocked.
Wow.
Play Morrowind with its awkward ass controls in the modern era.
Robbie, what about you? What do you think the landmass is that we're going to go?
Unfortunately, I don't know enough about the world in general to sort of guess that. I obviously played Skyrim. I played very, very little of Morrowind, and then was never able to actually play Oblivion.
You're not missing a ton with Oblivion.
You're really not.
It was okay. The best part about Oblivion was the Thieves Guild quest line. Like, you actually get to steal an Elder Scroll. That's kind of like the premise of it. That's pretty cool. The rest of it sucked.
All of the stuff. I mean, and Skyrim, my favorite was the whole Thieves Guild related stuff.
Yeah, then Oblivion actually treated its Thieves Guild really well, so you might like that.
Yeah.
All right, so for more information and the latest video game news, head over to checkpointradio.com and subscribe to the Checkpoint podcast feed while you're there.
That's right. Episodes of the Checkpoint Radio podcast come out every Saturday, and you can listen to full episodes on demand of Checkpoint Radio over at checkpointradio.com. I know we're not promoting something for Final Encountercast, but it's okay because we really do want to encourage more and more people to subscribe to Checkpoint Radio and the podcast feed.
We made it into the top podcast this past week, didn't we?
We did.
How far up were we?
I think we were 180, 170 something. I can't remember exactly, but yes, our podcast feed has been growing. I want to thank everyone for checking it out. The thing is, though, I do want to talk about before we get into 90s cartoons. We'll have about 30 minutes to talk about 90s cartoons. By the way, if you want to call the show, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764 to call in. We stopped syndicating episodes of the Checkpoint Radio content over on the Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast feeds. And since we did that, we saw about a dip of about 1,000 episodes, or 1,000 downloads per episode. So, I had tried to, encourage more people to go and subscribe, but it's clear that 2 weeks ago, everyone who was checking out and enjoying Checkpoint Radio podcast is not being fed that same content. So make sure that you're subscribed over at checkpointradio.com. If you're not already, please go make sure that you do that. We need to make sure that those numbers grow and not shrink. And unfortunately, if they don't start growing and in a hurry, I'm going to have to put the episodes back into syndication on those feeds.
You don't want Daddy to belt you again.
And the thing is, we have gotten a lot of people who have been complaining about the Checkpoint Radio content on the feeds, but yet there are more people that download when we syndicate it. So
vocal minority.
It is, yeah. And I was willing to hear you guys out for a week, and now that we've seen this big a hit on our downloads, I think
Daddy's gonna hit you.
I think we've got to go back to syndicating them again. So if you really don't like Checkpoint Radio podcast, Checkpoint Radio content on your Final Encountercast feed or your Limit Break Radio feed, make sure that you're subscribed to Checkpoint Radio, that you're downloading that content, and that you're encouraging others to do that as well, because at some point we are going to take those off of our other feeds, and we want to make sure that when we do that, we don't see as big of a dip as we've seen through this week, because it's sizable. I mean, that's more than that's more than I'm comfortable losing, and I'm willing to piss off some whiners out there if they don't know how to not download a fucking podcast episode.
It's not like we've never pissed off any whiners before.
Dear God, right? Like,
we piss off Nika every week.
But the thing is, I mean, we've heard the comment more than a few times that it can be a little bit distracting. And I said, okay, fine, I'll believe you on this one thing, but
nothing else.
And yeah, nothing else. No criticism is valid. But no, we really need to turn that around. So checkpointradio.com to subscribe to the podcast, as well as checkpointradio.com for on-demand episodes as well. That's over at our listen page. All right, let's talk about 90s cartoons.
Yay!
Because
can we get high first?
Nickelodeon seems to really want to bring a lot of these back. They're, of course, reviving Rocko's Modern Life and Hey Arnold. And Doug, I think, is also...
I heard about Doug, too,
which is interesting. Which is interesting because Disney got in on that license at some point.
Did they?
Yep.
Yeah,
Disney owns Doug, or it did.
Disney's Doug was a thing. It was on the Disney Channel and was being produced by Disney. And I don't know if the rights... I don't know who owns that.
Reverted back, or what happened with it?
No idea.
That's
interesting.
But more than a few properties from the 90s Nicktoons era are getting a revival.
And Warner Brothers is bringing back Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because I feel like, specifically, like Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain were so intrinsically 90s.
Oh, God, yeah.
Actually, if you'd have brought it up prior to it being announced, I would have thought that might have sort of fell in the same sort of realm as like Duke Nukem, where it doesn't work nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Go back and watch an episode of Pinky and the Brain. It's still funny today.
It is
to us, but what about bringing in new audience members?
And I think that's a very valid question. I had the same concern when they had decided to bring Mystery Science Theater 3000 back, and it wasn't the exact same people.
Right.
Like, and I understand that they probably have a lot of the same people, but whenever you go through a revival like this, I think the concern is that the revival will not ring as true as the original.
Think about they're bringing back Hey Arnold, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's cell phones in the modern era. You know how many episodes of Hey Arnold wouldn't have functioned in a world with cell phones?
That's true.
Do you think they're going to make them more modern now to bring in more people? It would be kind of silly to remake them in the 90s era. That doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I think they have to. I think that, Nate, what you said probably rings really true is when you try to revive something, you can't just bring back literally exactly what it was, because in certain instances, such as with Hey Arnold, where cell phones would have negated a lot of the episodes, right?
Right.
So what you have to do is, if you're going to reboot it, you reboot it for the modern era.
Right. Well, I mean, Animaniacs was a critique on a lot of cartoons in the 90s.
Right.
A modern Animaniacs needs to be a critique on what cartoons are today.
Right.
Shitty.
And I
go Teen Titans.
I pretty much agree with that, Joe. And the thing is that it is like there are certain cartoons that are anachronisms, right? Like they're caught in a time, and I feel like that's very true of the Warner Brothers stuff. And yeah, if they bring it back, that you're right, it's going to have to change the scope of what it was critiquing. And I think, given time, you can lose that focus. Like you can lose that perspective.
Definitely.
But it's weird because a lot of the and I used to decry revivals and nostalgia culture and all of those things because I do
Mystery
think
Science Theater and Twin Peaks came.
I hate it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that two properties that I absolutely love were rebooted. And I was totally fine with it once I saw it.
He's
a hypocrite.
He's like, am I a hypocrite, guys?
I mean, by the strictest definition, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, most of the time, though, it doesn't end up like that.
That's very fair.
Most of the time, though, it doesn't end up with a satisfactory result. And I think that Twin Peaks and Mystery Science Theater 3000, among those things that have been rebooted in the last 10 years, are probably the two best examples that I could point to. And here's where I don't know if it's my own personal bias that's kicking in, because I just love those two things so much, or if those two things sort of prove the model of how reboots are done well.
I can definitely see where you're coming from, and I think one of the things that I've been dealing with as more reboots or more continuations come out is I've always been a part of the don't change them, right? When they come out, you're just gonna ruin them and change into something else. But all of the reboots or continuations that I can think of that I enjoyed did that, and in some cases did it so drastically that I'm kind of sitting on this fence now where I'm like, well, if you're gonna bring something back, you have to change it.
So you're on board for the Final Fantasy VII remake?
That's an entirely different thing.
Kill you so hard.
It is.
Because they're remaking it, keeping a lot of similarities, but changing it to make it more modern, to bring in more people to fit modern gaming. I think it's exactly the same.
If I were to remove myself from the bias, perhaps, but that isn't the reason that I'm against it.
See,
he's kind of freaking out.
So I think what he's getting at though is there comes a point where there's something you love so much that you can't see a reboot of it. Like for instance, for me, if they
need one,
if they remade Gargoyles today, as much as I love Gargoyles, that was the show I grew up on.
Favorite show ever.
That's one I wouldn't want to see remade because they couldn't do it. There's no world where I could see if they change it, I'll be pissed, and if they kept it the same, I'd be pissed.
No, and you're. I think that's a totally valid observation, because look at what happened with the Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls was a show that everyone was like, when they heard about that reboot, they were like, yes, absolutely, this is going to be fun. It's going to be bright colors and like all of the hallmarks of the original. Like the original was a formula that was hard to fuck up.
Yeah,
and that's why I think when Powerpuff Girls got rebooted, everyone was like, yeah, all right, I can see that. And then when they watched it, they were like, oh no.
Well, and
oh no. They're making meme jokes? Fuck, what is this?
What Tartakovsky was doing was so good in the 90s. And the 90s was kind of the beginning of his run there with Dexter's Lab and shows like that. But like you think like Samurai Jack was one that was redone very, very well. Like, it wasn't even a redone, it was just a continuation.
Hang on.
It's a sequel. It's a continuation.
And that's sort of what I was working towards, was that with Mystery Science Theater, with Twin Peaks, and you know what? Samurai Jack is a great example of this too. That the modern incarnations of them are building upon the original story and building upon the original, the original series in some way that I think that's part of the reason why I've been less critical of them. When you have something to directly compare against, right? Like you're always going to do the direct comparisons and come out.
It's impossible not to.
And come out on the other side preferring one or the other.
When the Amazing Spider-Man with Garfield first came out, like I tried so hard to talk to people without referencing back to the Tobey Maguire one. It was impossible to do.
Yeah, how do you it'd be like today in the 90s we had Batman the Animated Series, which I maintain is one of the best shows ever made.
Period. Yeah.
But then when they wanted to continue on with it, they didn't just try to keep making Batman the Animated Series. They did Batman Beyond, which was a continuation of the story some 20 years later.
Right.
And while Batman Beyond wasn't the most well-received when it happened, it's looked back on very favorably.
Dude, I watched it, man.
I did too. I liked it.
I actually watched maybe more Batman Beyond than I did the original animated series, and I liked it because I liked that whole concept of you're right, it was a continuation, that you saw Bruce Wayne, he was older, the younger Batman character, I don't even remember what Terry. He was obviously made younger and made to appeal to a younger demographic, but not in this smarmy douchey way that doesn't ring true. He was a very good character.
He was a very different Batman. He was just kind of a punk kid. He was a mouthy punk kid.
That too, yeah. And I think that when you use a reboot as a way to sort of maybe even comment on the original, that is also a pretty valid way to do it as well.
Yeah.
I have trouble actually thinking of a full reboot from the beginning that I've been able to really get behind. Most of mine have been, okay, we're bringing it back, but we're continuing it, or we're changing it significantly in some way.
A reboot that just kind of takes it back to square one and actually worked.
That wipes the slate clean.
The only one that I can think of, and it's not so much a reboot of a 90s version, and I know that overall people look on this poorly, but I think the closest one you probably have is Teen Titans Go, because of its sort of self-aware nature.
I'll tell you what the most popular one has been. It was My Little Pony.
Okay.
I mean, that was...
Yeah.
We could have gone the whole show without mentioning that show.
I mean, I'm saying by the definition of your question, that's what it's been.
Well, I'm even trying to think of even movies or other TV series that it's actually really worked. Because I think a lot of why My Little Pony worked was that it was appealing to an entirely new generation that had no context for the original. It was also appealing to people who liked was Gendry? Did Gendry do that as well?
Tartakovsky?
Yeah.
No. His wife, I think, was on.
Or was it
It's Lauren Faust.
Was it because it has a connection to another show? Was it Foster's Home for Imaginary?
Yes,
that's it.
There's a connection.
Okay,
there.
that's what it was. And because I liked Foster's quite a bit.
Well, that show was designed with the idea of people who watched 90s cartoons in mind.
Yes, and it reflected a lot of that, especially in Blue. So you've got a lot of that humor, that same type of humor carried over from Foster's in there as well. And then you also obviously get the people who knew the original run and were obsessed with it. So I think the appeal there is entirely different. But yeah, no, I can't think of an actual reboot that had. And Robbie, you had mentioned Teen Titans Go, because Teen Titans Go gets a lot of shit.
It really does.
So much shit. But it's actually if you have no connection to the original Teen Titans,
and that's why it gets the shit, is because people prefer the other one. Not that this one sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other one was much more like a weekly episodic, show with an overarching story, where this is just a cartoon. Your baseline for this should be Looney Tunes.
Right.
Exactly. This is more of a cartoon, where the other one was more akin to like Batman or Spider-Man.
Yes, an actual comic book show.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I just only recently did I start giving Teen Titans Go a chance, and basically just because I was in a hotel room and it happened to come on when I was waking up, and it was the Oregon Trail episode, and
it's funny as shit.
He's listing off the numbers, or 6, explore the area, Y or end. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
The ninja episode was the best.
Oh, Ninja was good. Marcus Kyler in the chat room saying Transformers constantly gets redone for good or bad. That's actually a really good example because, not only do you have the different iterations of Transformers like Beast Wars and all of that other...
I was about to mention
all
Beast
of that
Wars.
other tangential bullshit, but you've also got, the core Transformers that has actually been redone and rebooted several times.
They've mentioned trying to remake Beast Wars, and I'm like, that was such a perfect, mix of awfulness that came together and worked. You'll never get that magic again. Beast Wars looks like hot garbage.
It does.
And everyone was fine with it.
Yeah.
It's bringing that up specifically. I feel like I was where I was at when that was coming out. I was right on the cusp of being able to sort of realize that type of stuff while also enjoying it.
Yes.
I'd be like, oh, this is so awesome. But then it'd be like, but wait a minute.
It looks like hot trash.
Not even that, but even just like plot loopholes and just stuff like that.
Beast Wars was my very first cartoon as a kid where there was an overarching story and there was continuity. And I couldn't grasp that concept because it was my first cartoon where that ever happened.
Right.
All my cartoons were always just
they reset every 30 minutes. Yeah.
So the episode where Dinobot dies, my favorite character. I was like,
spoilers.
Wow, that's a brutal episode. As a kid, I'm like, oh my God. But then the next week when he wasn't
there
on,
yeah.
I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, where is he?
Yeah.
And my mom had to explain, well, he's dead. He's gone. I'm like, but what? Why?
When a Transformers cartoon teaches you about death.
Look, kind of like 6-year-old me learned death from a Transformers cartoon.
Wow.
In the same visual style as Beast Wars, and I don't know, I can't confirm this. I cannot confirm this because I don't remember where I even heard it originally. But I've heard that Reboot is getting a reboot.
I've heard that as well.
I saw those rumors as well.
That too, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm not crazy about that. This seems like Reboot seems like a show like Beast Wars that is a total anachronism. It is a thing that could have only ever worked in the early 90s.
Your bad guy's going to have to be called Terabyte in the modern era. You can't call him Megabyte anymore. That's nothing now. You can't have your racist Chinese mentor Fong either. You can't do that now.
I think just technology as a whole, you're right, because it's just like the hacking movies of the 90s. Those can't exist anymore.
Hackers.
Oh my God.
You're right, they really fucking can't.
My grandma was watching some show last night and I heard something like, they got the virus because he downloaded Candy Crush from a legal Indian website that then used a screensaver to hack the passwords. And I goes, that's not how it works.
Oh my God.
That's not how any of this works. Fucking Christ. Dude, Reboot absolutely seems like it could never work as anything else than what it was and when it was.
That's
it barely worked for when it was.
Yeah. It didn't even work for me.
I like going back to Beast Wars, when people have talked about trying to reboot that at some point in the modern era. You almost want it as a continuation because the ending of it was really kind of weird. The last season of that show went so off the rails and made no sense.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up that you got, Beast Machines, was atrocious. I almost would like to see them go back and try and give it a better ending, but I just don't feel like you could ever make it work in the modern era because you're not going to go back to 1995 early computer gen graphics. I hope.
Those Saturday morning cartoons were
Jackie Chan Adventures.
They were so unique because let's take Sonic for example, who had reboots of the series that were being done while the other series hadn't even finished.
Literally, you could still watch the regular Sonic cartoon during the weekdays, and then you can watch the good one on Saturdays.
Right. At one point, wasn't there 3 different Sonic cartoons that were all going at the same time?
All voiced by Jaleel White?
Yeah.
Urkel was the voice of Sonic in all of them?
Strangely.
Yeah.
Not a bad voice for Sonic, let's be honest.
No, it worked out.
Yeah. And good that he was able to find work after Urkel. Doesn't that seem very odd to have 3 versions of one character's, cartoon going at the same fucking time?
Yeah. Wow.
Not if he's in a band.
Excuse me, Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo had 7 versions running.
You're right.
And that was one of the main reasons why I hated Scooby-Doo so much, because I'm like, why does he get 8 fucking shows.
You know what? I forgot about how much I hated Scooby-Doo. Like now,
I love Scooby-Doo.
well, now
I love which Scooby-Doo?
Hang
Because
on.
I think everyone had one that they were okay with.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
I hated all of them. Not even because it was bad, just because of this one reason.
just because it was on all the time.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is great.
I get that. I understand that. I liked the old Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, the original.
If it had
awful animation.
Yes. If it had Scrappy-Doo in it, fucking garbage.
Here we go. Here we go.
Fucking bullshit.
Scooby-Doo, where are you? The new Scooby-Doo movies, which I guess they just aired movies over and over again. The Scooby-Doo show, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. Oh, okay.
There was the kids. I remember.
A pup named Scooby-Doo.
A pup named Scooby.
Dude,
I loved that too.
Yeah, let me tell you why that one was great, because of the character Red Herring.
Oh my God!
Red Herring that Fred blamed for it.
Absolute best.
In every episode, he blamed for it, except the one episode where he wasn't allowed to, and it was actually him.
There have been 11 different Scooby-Doo shows.
Oh my God.
That is just ridiculous.
Can we get a Scooby-Doo reboot, please?
You know, can we take a quick second to talk about theme songs in the 90s and how there's never been a good theme song for a TV show since the 90s?
Oh, since the 90s. Okay. I was about to be...
No, they're great in the 90s. Like, think about, like
I'm going to get you.
Going back to, like, Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs, those are classic theme songs.
Yeah,
like people who like you still know probably know the whole.
One is a genius.
The other's insane.
Yeah.
You know the whole damn song. Even the weird third verse that people forget. If you started hearing it, you'd be able to sing the rest of it.
I had the CD. Thank you very much. Both of them.
Oh my God! Did you have the one with Pinky and the Brain and Elmira?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Jeez. That was the winner right there. That was a song for the ages, because that was a song that showed just how much the creators fucking hated their network.
Well, and to keep it in the WB family right here, Freakazoid had an amazing intro.
Freakazoid was an amazing show that only got 2 seasons. Yeah, literally, Super Teen Extraordinaire. Yeah, that show was so great. He had a fat cat named Mr. Chubbikins, which is hilarious.
Who voiced Freakazoid? Does anyone remember? I do not remember.
I know. I
remember him being great, though.
I know Ed Asner voiced Cosgrove, which was outstanding. Cosgrove was also later confirmed to be a superhero. He had the power to tell anyone to cut it out, and they would. Because in the entire series, there was not a single person he didn't say cut it out to who then did. Who didn't.
Interesting.
I love Freakazoid.
Do you guys remember Mad Max? Or Mighty Max.
Mighty Max.
I remember having the toys.
The toys, yeah. No, there's a fucking cartoon for that shit, too.
Was that the one where the bad guy lived in like the Skull Fortress on the volcano?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember that. Paul Rugg was Freakazoid. That's correct.
All the Mighty Max toys came in like little things that you would like open up, and there'd be like little levels in there, and then there was the female version, Polly Pocket.
Polly Pocket, yeah.
Speaking of Freakazoid, my brother.
Polly Pocket was the coolest thing ever.
For my like 21st birthday, my brother took an old vinyl CD and like painted it up to be like a Freakazoid vinyl or something like that. He had like the logo and the character on it, everything. Like it was awesome. I still have it on my wall somewhere.
Let's go to our phone lines. Ryoko's hanging on. What's up, Ryoko?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for calling Final Encountercast. What's happening?
Not too much. It's just remind me all the shows that I've watched as a kid, especially like all the more niche ones. Like, any of you guys remember that used to be like a Conan cartoon series?
Was this the 80s?
Man.
No, this is 90s.
90s? I don't remember that in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't recall Conan at all.
I remember that 1992 X-Men TV show.
Oh, dude,
the X-Men TV show. That's what I was looking up. That's my ringtone.
Every episode of that show.
Yeah, and then they did X-Men Evolution was also there, kind of in the same vein as like Batman Beyond.
I like
to
that
Batman animation.
I had that X-Men Sega Genesis game, and that also had that same song.
By the way, if you want to go back and watch a show that has not held up well over time, 1992 X-Men is your go-to.
It really
looks like trash today.
Like any scene with Jubilee just makes you want to go, ugh.
See, now I'm scared to watch it.
Don't do it.
Don't. Fond memories of it.
My girlfriend at the time and I bought the first season. We're like, oh, this could be a fun trip down memory lane. We got through like 2 episodes and we're like, let's watch Batman.
I think that's actually on Netflix right now, or it was. No. Another one, same vein. I remember it so fondly, but it's hard to watch now, is the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
That one wasn't good either.
No,
but
I used to love that one too.
It doesn't hold up well though. If
talk about ending on a cliffhanger, fuck that show.
The only one of those that held up well over time has been Batman, which is still great today.
Yeah, well, and Batman had an entirely different approach that was like the storytelling was more akin to something noir.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like if you watch that show, you're like, did this take place in the 40s?
Yeah,
because I think it might have been in the 40s.
Right, and that's what I think had such a unique vibe about it, and actually why I think as a kid I didn't like it. When I was really young, like when Batman the Animated Series first started airing, I really hated it.
Wow, I loved it as a kid.
To be fair, not
too dark for Nate.
No. I'm not saying that it was too dark. What I'm saying is that like as a kid, it just didn't grab my attention. Same thing with Ed, Edd and Eddy, which is my favorite fucking cartoon of all time. But when I was a kid, when I was little, and it first came out, I fucking hated it.
Oh, really? I watched it every day as a kid. I loved that show.
It wasn't until
hilarious.
It wasn't until like I was in high school that I was able to develop an appreciation for both of those cartoons.
You know which one was that for me? It was SpongeBob. I hated SpongeBob for like 5 or 6 years when it first came out, and as I started getting older, I started to appreciate it. I'm like, this is actually really good.
No, I agree with that with SpongeBob. I agree with that.
No, I also agree with that too. But I think there was also this thing that happened when we were growing up, where SpongeBob started to invade things like Hot Topic, and you had emo kids that were wearing SpongeBob T-shirts, and it just made the whole thing not cool.
Yeah, see, before I think that's where I still sort of have a little bit of like a disdain for SpongeBob, because you're right, Chris. Like when it comes to memes, SpongeBob is king.
Yeah, he is. You're right.
But it kind of fell in that sort of same way that Nickelodeon did for me when I was younger. Like it was just everywhere, and kids were watching it all the time. I'm just like, this is the stupidest shit. And then when the memes started coming out, I'm like, fuck.
Right, Ryoko, you got one more if you want to reminisce about one more show.
Sure. They and also the 90s outside besides Sonic, it was also like a whole bunch of different video game based cartoons. Like there was the Double Dragon one, the many different Mario spin-offs, and Captain N the Game Master.
Captain N.
Captain N was actually where I was going to go next. But yeah, Captain N. You also had the Super Mario Brothers TV show.
That did not hold up well at all.
No, it does not hold up well at all. Also, Legend of Zelda.
Carmen Sandiego.
Excuse me, princess.
Oh, classic.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Chris, you ran into this in our pre-show. Carmen Sandiego, both a game show and a cartoon show.
Yeah, how did you not know that?
I only remember the game show.
Well, the game show is far more memorable.
Oh, yeah.
The game show was great.
Did any of you guys have the Carmen Sandiego like floppy disk game at school?
Absolutely.
That still was hard.
Loved it.
Absolutely.
You know what was
What's
even worse
new,
than
Gumshoe?
What was even harder than Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. That game was fucking impossible.
Yep. Thanks for the call, Ryoko. If you want to give us a call here on Final Encountercast, reminisce about some of your favorite 90s shows. We've got a little bit less than 10 minutes left before we take off here. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764.
Seems the chat wants to talk a little bit about Ninja Turtles, guys.
That was 80s.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Was that
TMNT
80s?
was 80s.
TMNT was 80s.
Mid-80s.
It was definitely on in the 90s.
It was still on, but it started in the 80s. The movie started coming in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, it never stopped. There's still
because I
iterations
remember
out right
I
now.
used to like play outside on my swing set at my house and always pretend like I was April because I thought she was like the coolest.
Well, don't forget that show ran reruns for probably 5 years longer than it should have because the Turtles movie franchise took off.
Okay.
Yeah. So it stayed on the air much longer than most Saturday morning cartoons would.
Go. By the way, we've been talking about some of these series that don't hold up. This one is more than maybe any other. Go back and watch for how many times it's just 4 of the same turtle on the screen.
Yeah.
You're going to be upset with how many times it's just 4 iterations of Donatello on the screen.
Yeah.
What?
Cheapy animation. Cheapy 90s animation.
Yeah, it was super cheap.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
No, you're going to be mad.
But let's talk. Let's go back, circle back around to Nicktoons, because Nickelodeon is rebooting quite a few of these. Interesting that you had said earlier in the conversation, Callie, that with things like cell phones or trying to set it in a modern era, that may be challenging. Rocko's Modern Life took the exact opposite approach, where they were like, "Fuck it, we are absolutely going to be able to have fertile ground with social media."
Oh, yeah.
and satirizing, cell phone usage and
the
things like that.
Social media policies at Conglomeracorp. Corp.
Oh
Absolutely.
my God. Rocco's Modern Life is probably one of the smartest.
Well beyond its time.
Yes, I totally agree. But it was also, again, intrinsic to the 90s. And that show is so fucking smart. You want to talk about a show that really holds up well when you go back and watch it as an adult? There is just shit that I was not.
Never would have caught as a kid.
Would have never, ever, ever caught as a kid. Filbert is probably one of my absolute favorite characters. Turn the page,
you wash your hands. You turn the page, you wash your hands.
I fucking like
that quote. By the way, has been quoted in more elementary schools than any line in history.
I bet
that is up there with Jingle Bells, Batman Smells.
Honestly, like Rocco's Modern Life was one of those like truly visionary shows, and I can't tell you how excited I am, for not just the reboot to have it, but this movie, to be coming out. They got a lot of the original cast members, and I'd mentioned this before, but since it's going around in interviews, I feel like it's okay to talk about now. But when I got to meet Tom Kenny down at Alamo City Comic-Con, he actually did tell me a little bit about, because they had just finished up the session for Rocco. And he was like, they were able to get everyone back originally. I guess that there was some question about, the cat with the hook hand, the nurse, the doctor.
Yeah.
Apparently that actress went on to create Nurse Jackie.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, we don't know if we're going to be able to
do it,
if she'll come back. And she did. So they were able to get everyone that was originally involved with it. I'm so excited. I think that Joe Murray is still a very funny writer. I really enjoyed Camp Lazlo when it was on Cartoon Network.
Was that him?
That was him.
Oh, I loved Lazlo.
That was him. Well, Carlos Alzaraki was fucking Lazlo.
Yeah. You're right. Oh man, I see. Like, I only ever caught Camp Lazlo on occasion. I wasn't like dedicated to watching it, but like every time it was on, I'm like, this is great.
You know what? It was my gym partner's a monkey was.
That was that one. Teacher, wasn't it?
Gym teacher, yeah.
Gym, something like that, yeah. And that was one that I caught very, very like scantly. Like I would never like seek it out, right? But every once in a while when it was on, I was like, this is kind of okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of okay. What about Cartoon Network's current lineup? Just before we wrap this up,
what's on its current lineup?
Adventure Time is wrapping up.
Yeah,
regular show already wrapped up.
Is Steven Universe theirs?
Steven Universe is over there right now.
That one's supposed to be really clever.
That's doing really.
That's doing really, really well.
I'm actually really surprised, Kelly, that you've never given Steven Universe a shot.
I've watched about half a season of it.
Okay,
and I do like it, like conceptually, because like there's a lot of callbacks to things like in the 90s. So I do appreciate Steven Universe for what it is.
Well, but I mean, the trans community has just latched onto this thing like a magnet, and I think
they have a lot of variety in their characters and a lot of representation.
Well, they also, the way that gender is actually approached in that show is way more progressive, and it's like it's not even spoken. It's not even like
they don't make it like, oh, look at guys, we're going to teach you a lesson. It just is.
It just is,
and the way that kids pick up on that is just incredible.
Totally,
it is awesome. Yeah,
totally. And they don't get into that until at least the second or midway in the second season, I think, because I'm sure that they were terrified of whatever backlash it is.
Yeah.
But there are some genuine moments in Steven Universe where it is a very touching show.
The bit that I love about that show is because it has there's almost a stigma around it, like oh, why are they crying all the time? Like, it's always like supposed to be sad and emotional.
Right.
The cartoon that Steven and the others watch in that show is literally just on screen people crying all the time.
Yeah.
It's very self-referential.
I
like that.
And if you pay attention to the creators like social media, they're super active on social media. I'm actually genuinely surprised that you're not more into Steven Universe.
It's just one I never got into.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I can tell you this isn't Cartoon Network, but one that I've appreciated as an adult that's very smart is Phineas and Ferb. I don't know. It's on Disney Channel. Like that one actually has a lot of adult jokes that like kids just wouldn't get, and it's really funny.
Yeah,
really?
For Disney being on the name, it's really progressive.
Phineas and Ferb is very good.
Is it? Because that's been around for fucking ever.
Since the 2000s, yeah.
And it was one of those that I don't know if it was just because it was on Disney and I didn't watch anything else because like it was on Disney right around the same time as like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And I only know that because I fucking hated the Disney Channel for that show. That was like one of the worst shows. Because
Disney Channel's live action stuff at that time was not good.
Hannah Montana.
My girlfriend.
I used to watch Hannah Montana.
Launched an entire fucking empire.
Of course you did.
At the time, my girlfriend's sister would watch just nothing but the Disney Channel, and it stood to mention she was in college. By the way,
Was she as bad as the flood?
maybe a little bit worse.
Whoa!
If the flood was weeaboo, yeah, think about that. Anyway, but so she was super obsessed with the Disney Channel, and I would just find myself catching moments of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and I just remember like. I fucking hated that show. Like I remember thinking like this just teaches kids weird
I don't remember why I watched
shit.
that sometimes, but I can't remember why exactly. Because like thinking back on it, it wasn't really that great of a show. But I still watched it all.
You only watched it because Phineas and Ferb was next.
Maybe.
I think we all probably have a cartoon that we watched because of what was on next.
Not a cartoon, but I caught a lot of the second half of Boy Meets World because
Boy Meets World is pretty good though.
it was on before something that I watched.
I caught a lot of Saved by the Bell because it was on before.
Oh my God, yes.
What was it on before? Shit.
Mine was I actually got turned on to The Pretender because of The Simpsons when it was on like Sunday nights way back in the 90s.
Okay.
But
The fuck is The Pretender?
I actually really like The Pretender.
What is it?
So
I've heard of it. I can't remember.
Basically the idea is that the government tried to create this kid who could basically put himself into anybody's shoes and just be them. And when he escaped from the what do they call it? Like the institution, or whatever, he basically went around helping people by finding out where injustices were and then putting the perpetrators through the exact same thing.
Wow.
You know, Nate, you might actually like it because there's a very weird stuff going on with it. The Center, that's what it was called. The Center.
Am I mistaken, or isn't that the plot of Ray Donovan? Never have seeing a Ray Donovan episode ever, but it sounds remarkably
Ray Donovan.
similar to
maybe. I actually had like the first 2 seasons. I think you might
Really?
actually get something out of it because there's like some really weird vibes to it. Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap up our discussion about 90s cartoons.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fun.
That was fun.
I mean, it became a conversation about just cartoons and sort of TV in general, but...
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
90s cartoons were great.
Yeah, 90s cartoons really were
No one
great.
mentioned the live action that it was The Secret Life of Alex Mack. I loved that one.
No,
Where
but
she turns into a puddle.
I had the biggest crush on Larissa Olenek.
Oh, really?
Oh my
that?
fucking God. Yeah. For like years after that, too.
See, that's a lot more creative than every other boy in the 90s. Pink Power Ranger. Like, that's
Joe
everyone else's
Johnson.
first crush.
Yeah.
She was my first crush.
No way. Larissa Olenek.
All right.
You're also a little bit older than us too.
Not by that much. Not by that
We grew up
much.
in the same
Little bit.
generation of television.
Well, here's the thing though: the people who got into Power Rangers and the people who weren't, like, that's a very, very like small line, like in age difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was just a little bit too old because I got into Power Rangers, but it was at the point where like other kids were saying that was baby stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And so it had to kill my interest in it real quick.
I remember in elementary school, I was like one of the only ones who liked Power Rangers. I got picked on big time for that.
Look,
Yeah.
you weren't cool if you didn't have
I
the
used
Power
to play
Rangers
Power
little
Rangers on the
Beyblade
playground
things.
with all my friends. We would just run around and.
Yeah, that was like my playground friends. We were all Power Rangers every day.
We graduated from Power Rangers into Sailor Scouts. So
we got through this whole conversation without talking about Pokemon or Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Damn
Those
it,
aren't
Nika.
cartoons.
We can, all right,
Who's
90s
anime?
anime next week.
Oh, fuck.
We'll be back.
God damn it.
We're not allowed to talk about things we like here. We have to be sullen, crestfallen.
Well, that's the next
hateful.
show.
Yeah.
I thought that was everything about our show.
No, just the next show.
Oh.
Anyway, so I mean, we didn't get into a lot of some of the biggest stuff. I again,
Yeah, we did that without mentioning Toonami.
Oh my God, right?
One time.
My
Darkwing Duck.
Jesus.
Let's get dangerous.
I was just old enough. I think I was just right in that age range where it was like 1 year it was Power Rangers, but the next year it was something different, and you were lame if you liked Power Rangers anymore. So I think that's how I got off.
I had that experience with Pokemon where like everyone in 5th grade loved Pokemon, and then by 6th grade I was the only one left.
Did it go to Digimon?
Yeah.
No. I had a huge group of friends with Digimon, but it was never mainstream in my school.
My school had a freaking it was like the Crips and the Bloods for Pokemon and Digimon. It was crazy.
Really?
You couldn't be friends with someone who liked the other one. Oh, someone in the chat just mentioned VR Troopers. Oh, it's kooky. Yeah, VR Troopers.
VR Troopers.
Hell yeah, VR Troopers.
Beetleborgs. I was just talking about this with Surin the other day. Beetleborgs, that was another one I used to pretend I was on the playground. That's actually why I started cracking my knuckles, because the girl would crack her knuckles and then she would lift strong things. To this day, I crack my knuckles because of that television show.
Oh my god! So we could really do this all day. We could just continue.
Yeah, literally.
We could just mention different.
We?
No.
Why not?
Because we
have another show to do, and it's really hot. I'm turn the air on.
Yep.
Yeah, we do need to cool down. But maybe instead of talking about what we're talking about, we could talk about this.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
put off our FF.
If these shows were in Eorzea, what would they be like?
Oh god, 90s cartoons of Eorzea.
That would make a good like top 14 list that we could make.
Leave it to Dust Bunny.
Actually, that's not terrible. Anyway, all right, that's going to do it here for Final Encountercast. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in today. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, starting at 1 p.m. if you'd like to join us for our live show. We, of course, allow you to call in live, and we'd like to invite you, if you're listening on the podcast, to listen live and call in as well. Sundays, starting at 1 p.m. here on Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. That's going to be it for us today. Thank you so much. I want to thank my crew, Kooky Persona, who's been answering phone calls. Skurro's not around, so fuck him. But I want to thank my crew, Callie, Chris, Robbie, and Nika. I'm Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Nate Bender, Callie Sloan, and Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. More info. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in to Final Encountercast today. We've got Limit Break Radio ahead next, starting at 4 p.m. here on Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. We're going to be discussing the Stormblood storyline today, so if you'd like to join us, share your thoughts about the storyline, then stay tuned here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. We're going to send out a couple of commercials here in just a second, get our scene all changed around, so don't go anywhere. The channel will go down for a brief moment, but we'll be back in just a few for Limit Break Radio. Stay with us, guys. We'll see you ahead next.